Welcome to the video on practicing. We're going to be going over how to fill out the planning sheet that your students will be using throughout the unit. So what you're going to need is a blank planning sheet and a pencil. Let me show you what that planning sheet looks like so we know that we are on the same page. So we'll be going through this and filling this out as we learn this lesson. Now, the first thing is you need to figure out what unit we're going to do this on. When you go back to school, you're going to have to try this out on your own, and you're going to want to create something that is going to be beneficial and useful for you. So think about a math unit that you have a lot of resources for in general, because that'll make your job and your life a lot easier. Then think about what are the first two lessons in that unit. For me, I'm going to do a multiplication unit. I'm going to show you what the first two lessons are and how I'm going to plan this out. So for me, the first two units are multiplying tens, lesson 1, and estimating multiplication. So now what I'm going to do here on my planning sheet, I'm going to write the title of my unit, multiplication here, and then I'm going to write my first lesson here, and then my second lesson is going to go right down on the title of lesson 2. Now the first thing the students are going to do when they have this planning sheet, this is going to be their planning sheet that you're creating for them. Normally I would type this up, but since we're doing this together, I'm going to use my pencil right now to fill it in. They're going to go through the learn. Now, we're not going to cover the learn in this video, all right? But to learn about the learn, you're going to watch the other video, or when we debrief, we can talk about that. But after they do this is when they'll move on to the practice, which is the second phase of this personalized learning, right? After they do one or two learns, they'll move on to the practice. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is what options do we have? Like what choice, what voice and choice can you give your children when they're doing their practices? So I think there's just a guiding question that you're going to want to ask yourself as you're going through this. Think about what you have and what you want your students to do, to show and to practice their skills on the way to mastery. And what you're really going to need is, I'll call it an arsenal of materials, really online activities, games, worksheets. Most math programs have a workbook or a progression that you could use in order to incorporate into your own learning. Now, I'm going to show you the few things that I use, and I think there's things you can take away. I'm going to plug some resources here for you as well, and I'm going to put them onto my practice sheet. So here I've gone ahead and I've filled this out for 4 activities that I like to have my students do while they're moving through this unit. This is going to be the way that they practice the skill that they've learned, which is multiplying tens for lesson 1, right? And if you look up here, we've kind of put this on here, and this is teacher preference, but they're going to be able to choose at least one way to learn and at least 2 ways to practice. So of these 4, they're going to have to do 2 of them, all right? Sometimes I will make assignments mandatory, and if there is a mandatory assignment, I'll put a little star next to it, and I will tell them, hey, look, this is something you have to do. This is your first choice, and if you want to do your second choice, you can choose one of these. We use the, I'll go through what these might be right now, but Socrative is a great program that I'm going to show you a little bit about, and the Toss and Turk, we use Envision as our program here, so that's one of their worksheets. And this might be something that you get from an online website. I'll show you some websites that we use here as well. But one thing you want to remember is there is a lot of student choice in this, right? They're going to be able to pick which activity might work best for them, but you, as a teacher, also have the ability to assign mandatory tasks. I think right now what I'd like you to do is to quickly pause the video, and you could write down a few things that you might want your students to do as they're going through this. Like, think about a few things that you could add on your chart. Whether it be a worksheet or a workbook or some other websites or activities that you do know, add that to your planning sheet right now and then resume the video. All right, I would love to show you Socrative right now and show you how I use that in the classroom. So this is a results page, and that might look a little overwhelming right now, but let me show you up at the beginning. when you log in to Socrative, you can see that there are quizzes, there's a game. This is a free program that'll give you feedback, and it'll be a great choice for the students because they can log in very easily to it. This is one of the quizzes that I've created. It's about multiplication. You can see you can align it to a standard. There's true, false. There's multiple choice. There is short answer. And what I like best about it is that you get kind of direct feedback. And I've blocked off my students' names right here. But you can see how they've done. You can see score percentages. And for example, the kid right here who's got 55, that'd be a signal to me, okay, he needs a little bit of help on this, but our student with a 91. You can see that this right here, why is this red at number 3? This is going to be something that there's probably an error there. Whether it's a teacher mistake, most likely it's a teacher mistake. So as you fill this out, you should just be confident knowing that you have a lot of materials and think about all the different things you can do to give students choice. Now, the final bit of this, as you fill yours out, you're going to need to think about where you can keep all these materials that the students can access. So what we have is just one of these crates with different colored photos, colored folders here, and you can see the different units and different titles of each worksheet or activity that's on there. And this is a go-to section where students can move around the room and get their own materials at a time. Think about this. Think about how you can put this in your room. Instead of you handing out worksheets to them or activities, they know where they are and they can go get them when they need them and when they are ready for them. So that's that. The other 2 videos will show you how to fill out the Learning Assess section of the planning sheet, but think about what you've learned from this and what you could fill out on your own and what you can take back to your classroom when you leave this workshop. Thank you.